It's my great pleasure to invite Can Güvenir to talk to us today. Can is a program manager and lecturer at Yaşar University in Izmir, Turkey. He was also part of the HPI D-School team in Potsdam as a coach, and has recently advised to a number of the design thinking student teams in the summer term of 2023 from the project partner's perspective. I think the topic that Can is going to speak to us about today is for me, and I think for design thinking, such an important evolution. More and more is being asked of design to start to play a role in more complex environments, dealing with more complex challenges. And there's a strong argument that there is lots of work to be done in this space in the sense of tools and mindsets. And what's so important to this is for us to start looking at case studies and seeing how real world complex challenges and design thinking are actually finding a common space and an area where we can actually start to see impact. So really looking forward, Can, to your presentation, and I believe you'll talk for sort of 20 minutes, half an hour, and then we can certainly open it up to conversation and questions. So Can, I'll hand over to you.
Thank you, Richard. It was a pleasure to be on stage with you because I remember you from the DeConfest in 2017 in Berlin. So it was really nice because it was the first time that I have met with this design thinking family. Then it's become, because in that DeConfest that you just published a Global Design Thinking Alliance, and I was just kind of a researcher that, and I was about to come to Berlin to Potsdam HPI School of Design Thinking as a visiting researcher following years. And it was the first time that I heard about Global Design Thinking Alliance, and you published it there. So it was really exciting moment for me. Now I'm in Turkey after that, and now I'm just also be a part of this family actually, and it's really honor for me. And today I'm just going to share with you, all the participants, about our experiences that we have done last summer within the collaboration with GDTA as a member of GDTA. So I'm just going to share my screen later on, but today I'm just want to share you what are we doing over here, and then what we have done with this big problem from the perspective of public service and impact movement with design thinking, with the design thinking manner, the collaboration manner, and the co-creation of this mindset. So first of all, I just want to introduce myself a little bit. I'm an industrial designer, and I'm a lecturer, also a program manager at Yaşar University, as Richard mentioned before. And I'm just running all design thinking courses and some design programs in university. And also I'm just a volunteer at an NGOs and a board member of one of them. And also I have a company that is an innovation company that I'm just running. So that's why I have several hats. So that's why I'm just jumping around and just to solve the problem in proper and the right way. So I just sharing my screen that I'm just coming up with presentation mode, and I think now I'm just in the full screen, so I think it works. Today I'm just going to talk with this design thinking as a social impact mindset, and going to share my experiences and as an organization and as an individual, because I'm also a board member of the Yaşar University Design and Research Center, because we are here as a representative of GDTA from this perspective. We just entered this family actually I think begin after this year. So with Design and Research Center, we have design thinking and game and user experience and Fab Lab material workshop working groups. And this is the one of our picture from our workshop Fab Lab. As design thinking programs, we have an graduate degree, bachelor degree, and open course, elective course, a certificate program, and minor program, and master program. Just we are running in the university in Izmir. And also we are making some workshops about social innovation, game tech, and public service design with our local collaboration with these NGOs, municipalities, local authorities, and industry partners. So my history, my story just started with this visiting researcher between 2018 and 2019, before pandemic. I was there in Berlin, HPI Potsdam. So I just visiting researcher there to learn how HPI just handling this course and the learning experience behind it, how they are managing all these programs. And it was really nice, a welcoming family that I just visit there. It's really nice. And I had a chance to be a coach there as well. So it was a really nice learning for my personal perspective, also as a kind of a maturity for my side, from the perspective of design thinking. It was really nice experience to see there, because it's something different there. It's a really huge family. And then after pandemics, I was here and I was just jumping these design courses, and as a member of Design Research Center, I was just leading some programs behind that. And then when we be a part of this GDTA, as a partner, as you see, there's a purple circle. Izmir is just in the Turkey, actually. It's the west part of the Turkey. And also Izmir and Turkey, also kind of a bridge from Asia to Europe. We just accepted from GDTA, and we be a partner as, I don't know, as a, or some powerful tools, that because we had the kind of nice experience areas in Izmir with public services and some local industries and NGOs, that we are already working with them with these courses and some workshops that we are running. Actually, after we accepted from GDTA, when we entered the GDTA, there was an earthquake just happened. After pandemic, there was an earthquake, there was a fire, because I think there's geography has our destiny, I think. And this part we are just really struggling with, because the Izmir also as a harbor city, always there's a migration problems, climate programs from like before like last 10,000 years. That's why we are always struggling with these social and environmental problems, actually, in this geography. So with this earthquake, it was really 6th of February 2023, 11 cities. The Turkey is just like it's 81 cities, just more than 10% of the city, like 4 million residents affected. They lose their houses, they lose their everything, maybe they lose their relatives, and most of them has to migrate to other cities in Turkey, some other people who they know from other cities, or I don't know, somehow they have to move from governmental part, and or some with their some individual efforts, they had to move. With that strange situation, I was about to coach in this following basic track in HPI, but I asked to Claudia that I'm sorry, I cannot be a part of, I cannot coach in this semester because I was challenging with this situation actually, because 70,000 of earthquake victims also has to move to Izmir. So it was a really hard time. As a volunteer, I just jumped into all these supporting processes, not just by my own. Also, I asked people who wants to somehow give a volunteer support as a designer, as a researcher, as a design thinker, because we have we create a community about 50 people. So we were just tied to each other, and we somehow divided four as a research team, as a service design team, as a visual design team, and UX team, because there are research team just working on there are too many tools just popped in that process to support people, and the research team just searching the existing solutions from global perspective and bring it to us, and we were trying to apply it in the field. And also service design teams just also in the field, they were just searching on the processes, how the people react, how they are collecting the support the materials, and how they are sending over the other earthquake area, and somehow trying to help them to refine the process or design new services and new processes as well. A visual design team just working on to create some visuals to inform people correctly, because there were some services, but people and the community didn't know, and we were just learning that knowledge, and we just making some infographics for them, and we were just publishing. And UX team, there are some platforms that municipality, Izmir Metropolitan Municipality, working with. There are some really small problems, but it affects thousands of people to give some help or some support or giving some donations. So we, with this volunteer team, we just try to figure how to fix that user interfaces and user experience. But with that situation, I said, Claudia, that I cannot be a coach this semester because we were just working with that. And Claudia offered me, okay, then we can help you this time. So they offer us to give a two team as in the basic track as a pro bono work, and these two team can also support you in that process as well. It was really valuable for us because we were really in a situation that with hands-on situation that trying to solve some problems, and we need some outer perspective to show us what we have done or show us the right way, or what we have done, what are the pluses or pros and cons, and what can be improved from this situation, what are the potentials of this situation. So with this valuable interdisciplinary, intercultural team, just really helpful and really in a sincere way from heart, they helped us. I really want to thank from right now, and I'm just going to thank it again at the end, because with Marlene, Josephine, Florian, and Che, and Antonio, Jonas, Thiel, Anna, and Susan, we were together with 10 weeks with this basic track partner project. They just work together to help us during that situation with the coaches Carissa and Dr. Clemens and Yi Chong and Jerry. And we try to, first of all, we have to somehow bring it up with a for the basic track, we have to frame a design brief for them. So we come up with impact-driven public service design topics, and design a cooperation model, because we see not just local or governmental authorities, the civil societies is just really working powerful, but without coordination. So there are lots of supports just collected, but it couldn't link with the needs. That's why we need to see how this collaboration model can work much more efficient. That's why there is also some divisions from there's an earthquake area, there's a problem area, and also there was another problem that people has to migrate to Izmir as well. So we frame it. I'm sorry, I'm just going to read that part, the design brief that we sent to these volunteer basic track participants. On February 6th, an earthquake devastated 11 provinces of Turkey out of 81 provinces. In the aftermath of disaster, other metropolitan municipalities in Turkey engaged with the affected cities and supported the realization of municipal services in the regions. The impact of disaster of this magnitude is expected to last longer, resulting in a 30% drop in the local services of the municipalities supporting to these disaster areas. This situation has led to evaluation of public services to the earthquake victims, both in the disaster areas and across the country, through the different collaborations and development of new services. For this reason, we need coordinated cooperation in planning the support of the needs. We know and experience the importance of correctly defining the needs of both the disaster zone and the earthquake victims who came to Izmir, preparing enough support to meet the needs, ensuring the support reaches the people in need correctly, and following up this process. So far, as Izmir Metropolitan Municipality, we had contacted the civil society organization that we have been able to. Moreover, we have requested some support from CSOs to strengthen the ongoing municipal support and meet urgent needs during disaster support processes. We also asked these CSOs about their expectations from this cooperation and contribution they will make to this cooperation. And we continue to work on aligning the themes like education, health, law, economy, culture, migration, and municipal services, focusing on the target group defined as children, youth, adults, women, and special groups as well. So it was really a huge problem that we just give, because it's really just the start, and we also struggling with that position. We just ask for help, actually. So the design thinking process starts about April or something with a kickoff meeting. There at the kickoff meeting, as I don't know if you have experienced this basic track process, there's about 10 weeks. Every week you have Tuesday and Friday, I guess, 8 hours. Like you have to work on it. So kickoff meeting, there is a kickoff meeting with a municipality personnel and the consultant of the mayor of the municipality, and also some university part. There are some lecturers, there are some professors just also involved as an academician. After that kickoff meeting, the participant asked several questions to understand much more deeper about the situation and about the intention of this project. And then interviews just start with, we just arrange here, there are some victims that they have interviewed, there are some NGOs and CSO workers, volunteers, and academicians, so on. They have to figure out what is the situation, how to communicate, how to make it much more visible for everyone. And also there's some emotional experiences there. But for example, with the victims interviews, they couldn't manage to finish, or somehow they have to quit earlier because of this situation. They couldn't recall about their experiences. But after that, two teams come up with really valuable point of views. POVs are quite important because it's a really touchy moments. We have several meetings with them because there are too many problems, but how we are going to figure to make it much more vivid and visible for everyone. So it was the point that two teams divided to different target groups. One just focusing on much more volunteers, because volunteer has needs as well, because it's a kind of really emotional and it needs power to, as a volunteer, to support some situation, people who are just really suffering. And also some other team just focusing on organizations, actually much more the collaboration of the organization and creating some services. And they ideate and prototype several prototypes, and in that process also we make some interim meetings to, if they need some feedbacks and some evaluations, I don't know, some critical things that they were asked. And then after testing, they just test their ideas with the prototypes that they done with the target groups, the volunteers, with the municipality workers, and so NGOs and CSOs. And then they get presented their ideas to the consultant of the mayor of Izmir Metropolitan Municipality and the university rectorate. So after that, they just send us they come up with two ideas. It's really valuable and impactful two ideas, which one is just EduConnect, the community support for social and educational integration. Was a kind of an idea, both starting with the communication from WhatsApp to kind of turn it to a platform. And it was a model, a system that they were offering, that how municipality communicate and collaborate with CSOs and civil society, and how they can plan, or with the university, how they can plan an educations, the people who has to migrate Izmir, and if they need some, for example, for high school students, they had an exam following 2 or 3 months later, and they have to study and they have to integrate to the culture, a new territory and a new culture. That's why there should be a kind of a new services, supporting the services for these people. So they, from this education example, they created a collaboration model for organizations to create services. And the other team, Empower Tier, is a kind of a platform to build resilience among helpers and crisis situation. This is the one who focus on the volunteers, because volunteer needs much more mental support or socialize to share some things that in common, and they have to be much more powerful, or somehow coordinated ones, and there is a need, and they should choose the right one, which one he can affect much more. They should pick one of them, and there should be some educations, volunteering educations. So these two valuable outcomes really was helpful for us during that process, because also they sent us at the end of August, they sent us a really nice reports that there was all the findings that they have during the process. So what we have done, I just take these reports and the presentations, and I went to first to rectorate of the Yaşar University. Then the mayor of the municipality of Izmir. Then we just I just work on to somehow to make it realize and to get in to the real life. So we come up today also, it's launching. We just searched several platforms for volunteer management and some collaboration, project management and matchmaking platforms. And we found Goodstat platform. So it matched our needs. So this platform also based on London, but also their CEO and their IT team and design team was just based on Turkey as well. So we just collaborated with them and to create a platform for this CSO and the volunteers that to come up with the projects from basic track, and also we were working on together. So with that platform, actually today, the Izmir Metropolitan Municipality show the platform to the CSO of Izmir. Now it's running actually. And first of all, they are just going to come up with their organizations. They make their organization page and the volunteers will come, and the organization's going to ask for support in some areas, and the volunteers just going to apply these needs and try to communicate with them. So with that platform, actually, we want to collaborate organizations all together, and also for the volunteers can reach out which needs that they can support and can affect more. So what we have learned during that process with GDTA, our intention to learn from each other, because it's a really valuable community is here, valuable experiences, valuable knowledges are out there, because we need to learn from each other. I really learn because we have some meetings also with the team, but with that process as a GDTA member, Izmir, it's really nice spot that the global impact of design thinking in a real life problem, like I don't know, it's like about human rights, climate change, economy level, is like a living society problems that we were challenging. It was nice to see how design thinking can affect to solve these really challenging problems. And also it was nice to collaborate beyond borders, means that there are people, because while you are in it, in that process, maybe you cannot realize the thing that you are in. So it was really nice to collaborate from the global perspective to solve the problems that you are challenging, and to think, to collaborate, to communicate together, and to create a co-creation culture. Because I think design thinking is the one of the most important output is the co-creation culture is coming with design thinking is much more valuable than that. So it can maybe has a power to change the world a little bit. Thank you for listening. It was a honor for me to share with you. Thanks a lot again. Thank you. Give you this chance to me to share that experience.
Jan, thank you so much. It's a wonderful story and case study. I'm going to open up to anybody who'd like to ask some questions. I have sort of a question I'd just like to kick off with. You know, a challenge like this is sort of multi-stakeholder. It's all interlinked. Often very emotional, very complex. Multiple needs that are perhaps in tension. Sort of trying to understand, you know, which one is maybe the most important need or not so important, or which need perhaps is a leverage or has a catalytic effect which could address other needs. as the students were going through, obviously the interviews and trying to identify a user, POV to frame, were there challenges where they just felt it was actually hard to single out a specific user and a POV? I mean, in some ways, the luxury of this project is you had two teams, so there were you could have two POVs or two users, and in some ways there were two interventions into the system. But I'd love to know from just your sort of reflections as in the challenge of how does one isolate it down to a stakeholder that you feel is the one that one needs to really focus on, especially when there's so much emotions happening in this environment, as you mentioned, with the actual victims of the earthquake.
Yeah, it was really tough actually in the POV session. I think I saw some of the participants be a part of this basic check. If they want to answer, it can be an honor for me. They can jump in, but as I see, as a kind of I wasn't coaching. I was just facilitating the process. By the way, I was both observing and trying to solve this multiple stakeholder communication process. So in that POV sessions, when they come up, they have like 5 persona or 6 persona, and they several needs of it, and they was really struggling, and they had the tough situations as I observe, because as a team they couldn't manage to focus one of them, but we just want to keep them to find the most valuable one. They as a team, they want to solve, because even just one solution, it can be a drop to the ocean. So somehow we cannot solve all of the problems, but with that sincere intention, if they had to pick one, and as they have to choose which one of it most valuable belongs to their interviews and so on. That's why it was really tough for them, but while they are choosing it, they do it as a team.
And just to build onto that, looking at the sort of project sponsor, was there any liaison or discussion with the sort of the project partner around which stakeholder, obviously they're going to need to drive the idea forward post the work that the students have done, and so they need to have buy-in around the fact that we've chosen the right stakeholder. Was there any collaboration with the project partners, or were the students could choose on their own?
Actually, during that POV process, I wasn't the one who do facilitate. They have coaches, and also I was just keeping communication with the project partner, because they were some priorities during the process. As a municipality, they need to find out in urgent area they have to focus on, but also for the mid-term or longer term, there should be some other problems as they knew that they has to face. So they involve somehow, but also as a facilitator, I just want them to risk and to pick their ones, because if it's just be a frame of the partner, for example, some of the project can become like that, because, for example, volunteers, they didn't know how affected this situation affects these volunteers. For example, they didn't want to see, for example, but with that projects, they aware of it. That's why it was a chance for them to be aware of this situation.
Thank you. Any questions from any of our guests? Linda.
Thank you, Richard. It's really good to be watching and listening to this today. I want to thank Richard, who I've known since day one. And Can, I can't tell you how much you really have inspired me. It's a really remarkable thing. I have been involved in design thinking, and I've been involved more lately at LSE with social impact and social entrepreneurship. And the issues that you so sadly had to face are ones that have come up through those years with projects. And a Ukrainian student a year ago was talking about the need to get more help for the volunteers, get more collaboration between the teams. And the more I listened to you, I thought, but what you did sounds so logical, so reasonable in the sense of you can do it with human resources that are ready to do it. How, and here's my question, how can we get a momentum where people are going to replicate pretty much what you've done, including down to the details of even those two sectors of the community collaboration and the platform and help for the volunteers? Because as I say, and I'm sure that if you went to almost any area that's had a crisis, you would probably observe that they need it, even if they hadn't recognized it. So that's my sort of more of a challenge than a question, because I just feel like the first thing I want to do is run back and talk to some people and say, let's see this and hear about it again with some of our students. But also to get a lot more people in the world knowing about it, and quickly, because we have so many things to solve. How can we start?
Thank you, Linda. It was an honor to get this feedback from you. It's also now in the second part. Now we are starting with our students, like about 40 students, just working on this challenge, how we can empower this collaboration. And I think as I see and as I hear and as a strategic way of looking, I think the solidarity of this humanity is an unique, I don't know, gift or something, the talent. So we see in emergency, this solidarity is just coming to so concrete. But after that, for example, a month later, no one just talking about earthquake in Turkey. But in Turkey, you see there's a Syrian war, there's lots of migration is coming, and Ukrainian-Russian war is just coming also. The migration is coming from all over the world. And also there's an economic crisis and climate change, and there's lots of crises just running out, and we have to have kind of a reflex to solve that problems and to sustain it. So I think now we are just working on, maybe is not to wait for this emergency situation and to create this solidarity culture, peace, just kind of like exercise for the for example, for the neighborhoods. If someone is also is a kind of a cultural thing. If he or she is just hungry or needs money, I have to feel somehow annoyed, because I have to feel responsible of it. So this responsibility is just a kind of an ethics of a designer, because you see there's a problem. He's hungry and he has a problem. So as a designer, as a design thinker, you have to be responsible to solve that problem as well. We have to look around of us. There should be a problem. There should be a problem, and there will be much more problems. And we see this is a kind of a rising situation for all societies all over the world, struggling with lots of crises. So I think we have to exercise with each other. Also, it's really nice to also collaborate in a global way. It's in local, it's really valuable. Also, when it is getting to much more perspective and much more wider, it's a kind of a global issue that we have to work on. We have to, I don't know, try to solve, I think.
Thank you. I think you've given us some very, very pertinent words, things that do give us a way to start thinking about it, to look at creating the solidarity. And I believe that's the reason I'm still working with students, is that that comes naturally at the student level. So I hope to be able to capture these words, and perhaps we can repeat them back to some groups locally here in London. We don't have quite the urgency, except what we do have is a lack of ability to respond, for sure. And so that, to me, is what we need to be prepared, in other words. Maybe I grew up on top of the San Andreas Fault, so maybe I do think about earthquakes still. But we were prepared. We had things in the closet, we had alarms, etc. The community had meeting points, etc. And I see that still in the thinking of those communities. So you're right, we've got to get a feeling of support in the culture. And design thinkers should be, as you say, they're naturally motivated because it's a problem, and you then feel responsible. You've got to solve it. You truly have said some very wise words there. So thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Lyndon. I think it raises such an important topic and mindset around the importance of purpose and wanting to solve a problem. And it shouldn't just be up to the designers and the design thinkers. We all as humans actually need to have that capacity. And I think that's part of the beauty of exposing people to a design mindset, is to give them confidence that they can actually solve problems, and that might give them the purpose. Because I think without purpose, designers don't find that passion. And we really need to build that passion into every human being on this planet, if we really want to solve challenges that we're going to face.
And there should be kind of pivots and somehow points, and there are some situations that you have to decide something, and there are some values behind it. So values can be a kind of it's really nice to position yourself and for your decisions as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Any other questions from the group here? I see Pearl, you mentioned kudos to everyone who has involved in making this project real. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
I mean, that's one of the things I kind of wrote down as you were talking, and it kind of talks a little bit of, I think, about this, about the post in the chat, just around the difficulty of addressing this challenge. And here we had a case of a team that was removed from the context and the reality in some ways. Do you think it would have been different had you tried to do this locally in the context, and the sort of this concept more of designing with the stakeholders as perhaps designing for, in the sense of being sort of physically removed from the context and the reality of it?
Thank you, Richard. It's really nice question. In that process, actually, it's really hard to think logically. That's why it's a part of kind of someone who thinks and see us from the out of the box. It's can be much more easy to decide, because it's the emotions and the logic is just coming like that. So it's waving for all, not just for individuals, but both for organizations as well. That's why somehow it's nice to have a kind of a view of perspective and a kind of a help hand from outside, but not just, but they have to kind of experience this situation. They have to empathy with the situation. That's why I just try to figure out to see, experience, to interview with the other stakeholders in the field. But yes, it's not the same that we also experience here. And but if we see as a kind of, if they the need, the intention to solve the problem in a logic way, there should be a view from outside is important. But is also for the following up parts, this is nice that because we got this really clean, objective way of this project design thinking process, and we just really dig into these reports, get insight, get the potential, also try to find out problems behind the ideas, prototypes. And so we try to come up with the idea and concrete idea. We couldn't create the idea that they send us, but we, after in the implementation process, we have to come up and think again and try to find this kind of a background with the ways of these projects we implement in the local way, actually.
And just to, so I'm mindful if anybody else would like to ask a question, please just do raise your hand, and I'll certainly invite you in. Jan, the importance of a project partner that has the capability and the capacity to realize the ideas or take them further forward. Tell us a little bit about that, because otherwise the idea could have just stayed as student projects in a document in Germany. And for me, there's three things here. One, it's the student team and the ideas. The other one is the importance of an influencer like a project partner that can actually do something with this information or the idea. And then thirdly, I'm curious to know your role, the importance of your role in this, in some ways maybe being a bit of an interpreter between the world of design and the work the students were doing, and perhaps the world of public sector, who perhaps aren't used to this way of working, and the importance of that brokerage in building the trust and the belief that, you know, what the students have produced is worth pursuing.
I think there should be someone who can talk with the stakeholders with their language, because it's, as you mentioned, it's really with the multiple stakeholders, each of them has a own rhythm, own language, own way of doing something. So in a local partner, my role is to be a bridge of these design thinking ideas, student ideas. These are not a kind of a playground for the students. It's a really help for us, as a support for us. So I and also our team in Turkey also take it serious, and also the participants from this basic track, both coaches and also the team, Claudio's team, also take it serious as well. So it was a kind of a serious collaboration. So someone has to take it, has to take the responsibility to implement it. But during the implementation, there's another design thinking process starts. every stakeholder's its own motivation, own regulations. So with these ideas, there should be kind of a link with the real world. So without losing the main purpose of the projects, we try to figure out how to implement it. And after, I think, 3 or 4 months, we come up with a concrete platform, but it's not the end. This is a solidarity culture. It's just a tool. After that, we have to find how to create this solidarity culture and the reflex of the community to create this community. It's not a one-time project. It's always defining and to work on it. That's why it's the platform just giving us the base and to see, to archive or things to do. That's why it's the influence for the partners is, that's why it's just taking is a serious situation, a serious projects. Even it's a student project, it's a really serious project and they take it serious. But I can be honest, I was one of the pushy men who just took it serious and we have to do that. I need to explain several times, same thing several times in some other people, but it takes times for implementing.
No, wonderful. I mean, my experience working in public sector and bringing sort of design culture into that is the need to almost deconstruct the language and reconstruct it in their language, so that they can understand it, and then needing to play that brokerage translator role between these two worlds. And I think that's such an important part of the world of sort of social innovation and these really complex challenges, is they mean nothing unless you've actually got some partners who have capability to really amplify the impact. And generally public sector organizations hold that key, but they don't really understand this world of design and innovation.
Yeah, we have to insist on, if we believe it, it's true, you have to insist on that, to take responsibility of it.
Yes, absolutely. Mindful of time, would anybody else have a question for Jan? Jan, I've kind of, my last question is what's next with this project?
We'll see. Today, as I mentioned before, the mayor of the metropolitan municipality is just launching this platform to these civil society organizations to use it, and we have a kind of a pilot process for months, how they are going to use it, how they can they collaborate with that platform, and we observe it. And also there's a 40 students in like a design thinking course. They are just going to create some I don't know, some projects and some ideas to improve this collaboration culture. I think it's worth to try, even it's a kind of a drop to the ocean. We have to try it. And so with that solidarity culture, I think we can also, with that solid cultures behind it, with its base of design thinking, can solve much more bigger problems, I guess. It's worth to try, that I can say.
No, absolutely. I think the sort of the philosophy underpinning the idea and the concept has a huge potential in all sorts of different environments. And you know, in some ways, you often find that a tragedy like an earthquake, which triggers at least some thinking, deep thinking, and some human-centered design, comes up with an ideas which suddenly you realize, well, hang on, we can actually apply this into many other contexts as an approach and as a concept.
Absolutely.
Well, if there's no other further questions, I'll just quickly check. So I'm grabbing my screens. Yeah, Jan, I'd just like to thank from the GDTA, thank you so much for sharing this project. I think it's been very insightful, and yeah, I would love to start sharing more projects where we're really dealing with complex environments, multi-stakeholder challenges, where we're testing the limits of design thinking and having to develop new tools and new approaches, and not to stop learning, not to believe that we have arrived. Here are all the tools, they work. I think we need to continuously, in some ways, practice what we preach and keep disrupting ourselves in this space, because there's still a lot of work to be done, and I think a lot of new territory to be found, which is super. Lots of problems out there, and new tools, mindsets, and approaches to be discovered.
Exactly.
So,
it's getting more complicated, and the problems are getting much more bigger and global. Thank you for giving me this stage and the chance to share this experience with these members, participants. Thank you, Linda, for your questions as well. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Jan. Yes. And just looking ahead a little bit, we don't have a spotlight session in December. I think we're all taking a well-deserved break over the sort of Christmas or the end of the year break, wherever you may be in the world. But we will be back on the 30th of January. There'll be an official email have been sent out, 30th of January in 2024, where Martin Schwemmel will be talking to us about future skills and the Future Skills Navigator. Martin, also a researcher at HPI, who left there a few years ago, but should be really interested in looking at how design thinking has making its way into the sort of future skills space, seeing it as almost a foundational skill for all of us. So on that note, thank you for everybody for joining. We'll keep the channel open if anybody'd like to stick around for a bit of an informal chat. But thank you very much, everybody, and keep safe over the festive period. And yeah, hopefully see you all next year.